With the trade deadline only 48 days away, the Vancouver Canucks have some major decisions to make on their roster in terms of which players there are that are on the block, which players they will listen on, which players won't be traded, and which players they deem untouchable. Well, today I'm going to take over as the GM of the Vancouver Canucks and bring in my list of players who meet these categories and fit them into these categories. And yeah, how's it going, guys? Welcome to the CanucksLand Podcast, where today we're going to be going over exactly what I just said. I'm CanucksLand, and before we hop into it, I'll give a little bit of a definition on these, just in case you're a little bit unfamiliar with the terminology. Now, I understand that a lot of people are. You could probably skip through, but the untouchables, basically these are players that are just not going to be traded, no matter what. You can give me an insane offer. You can give me a Quinn Hughes caliber offer. I will not be trading these guys. They fit our needs. These are the players that you want to keep when you're the Vancouver Canucks. Won't be traded. Not necessarily are these players that I wouldn't trade. If you gave me a good offer, I'd probably trade them. But they meet my, timeline. They're players that I like. They're younger players. One of them is a little bit older, but they're mainly younger players who have low value. I'm not really feeling like I want to trade them. They won't be traded, but they're not untouchable. Next up is listen. These are players that I will probably trade if you give me the best available offer. I'm going to listen, but until I see an offer that I really, really like, I won't be trading them. Last but not least, on the block, these guys, I'm going to take the best available offer, no matter what. I'm going to be waiting out a little bit, maybe. If I think I could get a little bit more, I'll wait. But at the moment, I'm probably going to be trading these guys. I'm going to move this down and put this on the screen, just so I stop looking over at that monitor. But let's hop into it. Without further ado, we'll hop in with untouchables. My first untouchable is Zeev Boyum. The Vancouver Canucks just acquired him for Quinn Hughes, who's basically going to be the Quinn Hughes replacement for this team. He's going to be the top left-handed offensive defenseman of the Vancouver Canucks for the future. He's only 20 years old. The Vancouver Canucks, if I am the GM, I am absolutely not moving him. Second of all, Braden Coots. We just drafted him 15th overall. He projects to be a good 2C to probably a 3C, not entirely a superstar caliber player, but having a good 18-year-old in your system, especially with the way his game has shown to be a little bit more advanced in terms of where it is right now, I definitely would keep Braden Coots. I would not consider trading him, especially since we're entering a rebuild. You need to keep all the young players that you possibly can. Next up is Tom Willander. It's the same thing with the first two. The promise he has shown and the way his game has advanced and how he was able to make the jump from the NCAA to the NHL the way he has and play pretty good. He's very good defensively. He's not entirely two-way. I would probably consider him a little bit more of a defensive defenseman than a two-way at the moment, but his offensive game, I feel like that's something that's going to come with age, and he's projecting to be a very good top four defenseman on the right side for the Vancouver Canucks, who will eventually be either our top right-handed defenseman or our second-best right-handed defenseman when we exit the rebuild. Tom Willander looks really good. I am not moving him, no matter what. Next up, this guy I kind of debated on whether or not to put him in the won't be traded category or the untouchables category, but that's Marco Rossi. We just acquired him from Minnesota for Quinn Hughes. Honestly, I don't really feel like I would trade him. I would probably keep him for as long as I possibly can, and that's why I'd consider him untouchable. Unless a team offered me an insane package, I probably won't trade him. Like, you'd have to give me like an insane package to trade Marco Rossi, but I don't really feel like I would take that anyway, because I kind of want to keep him. He's going to be a really good two-way center. Not two-way, 2C for the Vancouver Canucks. He put up 60 points last year. He's struggling this year, a lot of injuries. It's been the theme for the Vancouver Canucks, but he had injuries as well when he was in Minnesota. Hopefully he's able to bounce back next season and put up the points that he has been putting up. But Marco Rossi, untouchable at the moment. Next up, Jonathan Lekkerimäki. He's on the outside looking in when it comes to the Vancouver Canucks. I'm not sure what their plan is with him right now. He's playing in Abbotsford, and honestly, he looks very good in Abbotsford. But when he comes up to the NHL, he's not getting those top 6 minutes that you would hope that a player like him would get because of how good his offensive game is. So, I'm not sure what the Vancouver Canucks plan is, but at the moment, I wouldn't trade him. He's a very good offensive upside player. He's a little bit smaller, has to get used to the physical game of the NHL, and I feel like that's his big flaw at the moment. I wouldn't trade him because he kind of fits the timeline. The next up we just drafted him. This is the last untouchable, is Alexei Medvedev. Now, I don't think his value is insane. He's just a young goaltending prospect. We don't know how good he's going to be. I project him to be a future starter for the Vancouver Canucks. If anything, a very reliable backup. But Medvedev at the moment, he's going to be our big goaltending project. He was selected in the second round. I can see him becoming the future starter of the Vancouver Canucks, but it's going to take 5 or 6 years. We'll see where it goes in terms of his development, but at the moment I would consider him untouchable. Now that is it for the untouchables. It's just those 6 players for the untouchable list. We are now moving into the won't be traded list, and this has one more player than the last category did. But first off, we'll start with Linus Karlsson. Now Linus Karlsson isn't the most valuable piece the Vancouver Canucks had, but we just signed him to a 2-year, $2.25 million extension. Honestly, I don't see us moving him in as of right now. Maybe a little bit in the future if his value is still pretty high and we're able to move him for something when we're still in kind of a rebuild and he's exiting our timeline because he is a little bit older. I could see that happening, but at this moment, I don't see Linus Karlsson being traded, mainly because of the extension, but mainly because he kind of fits the timeline and we could see what he could develop into fully. I don't have high expectations for him. I don't think he's going to become a first-line player. I don't think he'll become a second-line player, but he'll be a decent, maybe middle 6, low-end middle 6 to bottom 6 kind of player for the Vancouver Canucks, which isn't too bad. Next up is Victor Mancini. I don't have him in the untouchables list. He is he's 23, he's a little bit older than a lot of defensemen on this list, but he still projects to at least be maybe a top 4 guy. I could see him being a bottom 6 guy to maybe a 7th scratch, but I wouldn't touch Victor Mancini at the moment. We'll see what happens with him unless, another player takes a spot like Sawyer Mineo. I don't expect the Vancouver Canucks to move him. Next up, Tyler Myers. Now, this one is a bit of a shock. Won't be traded. Tyler Myers? What are you talking about? He's a veteran player. The Vancouver Canucks should be trying to ship out as many veteran players as possible. I think that Tyler Myers is indisposable when it comes to his leadership. And I feel like, though how old he is, if he wants to stay a Vancouver Canuck, I won't trade him because he would be a very valuable asset to have on the back end in terms of helping these young defensemen grow into the NHL game, get used to the NHL game. He can help those players. That's why I have Tyler Myers in the won't be traded category. Maybe I'd think about it next year once his no movement clause kicks out and I think it's a modified no trade. Maybe you can try to find something for him to win a Stanley Cup. That's the only time I would really trade him. But other than that, I feel like he might retire a Vancouver Canuck, and I'm totally fine with that. Next up is Max Sasson. Won't be traded, has low value. If a team offers him, teams offer us something for him that was pretty good, I'd probably take it. But he's younger, kind of fits in a little bit with the timeline. We'll see what happens. But Max Sasson at the moment, and he also just signed an extension as well. So Max Sasson at the moment, I wouldn't trade. Next up is Elias Pettersson, the defenseman. 21-year-old defenseman who just got sent down to the AHL. He's pretty decent. He still needs to work on his game a little bit. I project him to possibly being a top 4 guy, but I see him being realistically a bottom pair defenseman. He'll be a very solid bottom pair defenseman. He's very young. The Vancouver Canucks will have him for a while, and I feel like he will solidify the bottom part of our defense, and he will be the first piece of the puzzle when it comes to exiting the rebuild, when it comes to like the lower part of our defense, not having to go pick up a veteran for that spot. We have a nice young defenseman who grew into his game with Vancouver. Next up, Aatu Räty. He's not untouchable to me. As much as the Vancouver Canucks probably consider not trading him, I don't think he's into the space of untouchable. I think that Aatu Räty is a very capable center who can put up some points. I think he maxes out at possibly a high-end 3C, maybe moves into a low-end 2C, but I don't see him reaching that. He's probably going to be our third-line center who's putting up a good amount of points. Maybe he moves to the wing, But I don't see that because of his faceoffs. He's very valuable in the faceoffs. That's another thing. Even if he does move to the wing, he can be a winger who takes a lot of faceoffs, doesn't really play center, and puts up a lot of points, hopefully. But I like Ratu. I wouldn't trade him. He fits the timeline, but I don't think he's untouchable. Same thing with Liam Ogren, who we just acquired from the Minnesota Wild. I don't think he's the only player from that trade I would not consider untouchable, but I wouldn't trade him. He fits the timeline. He's a very good, solid young player, and I feel like he just let him develop, hopefully into a top 6 forward for this Vancouver Canucks team, and we'll see what he does. But without further ado, that is it for the won't be traded category. We are now officially moving into the longest category with the most players, and that is the listen category. And I'm going to go from the players I think are like the least valuable to the most valuable in this one. So we'll start off with Nils Hoglander. And I know a lot of you thinking, Nils Hoglander, the least valuable player on this list. With how his season has been going and how last season was for Nils Hoglander and him having a $3 million contract, I do think that his value is at the lowest. I would listen for trades with him. If anything, I see him being a bit of an add-on from another player on this list or a player on the block. I don't see there being a solo trade for Nils Hoglander, but yeah, I would listen just to see what is out there. Next up, Drew O'Connor. I wouldn't entirely put him on the block until next season when he is an expiring UFA, but I would listen at the moment because if a team wants him for this year and next year on $2.5 million and they're willing to offer a decent package that I'm willing to take, I will take it, and I'll trade Drew O'Connor now. But next year, I feel like it's more of the year where you consider trading Drew O'Connor, seeing what you can get for him. I don't think his value is too high. I feel like it's pretty easy to find a trade for him, but at the same time, I would just keep him for one more season. He holds up a roster spot, and you don't really have to worry about going to try to find a replacement free agency or not having good enough depth for next year, and then you can kind of like see how it's going, which prospects are going to be moving in, and then you can trade Drew O'Connor knowing you have a replacement for him next season. Next up, I have Kevin Lankinen. His contract and the way he's playing right now has definitely plummeted his value just a little bit. He's not having as good of a season as he did last year for the Vancouver Canucks. Honestly, I wouldn't consider it too much, especially with the no move clause at the moment, because he can kind of control his fate and he can kind of make it so you have to make a move that you're not going to like. I would listen on offers, and if he says yes to the best available offer, you're willing to take it, and he's like, yeah, I'm willing to go there, I'll waive my no movement clause, I would do it. It's the same thing with the other goaltender, Thatcher Demko. He's not the next valuable player, but I'm just going to talk about him anyway. He doesn't have a no movement clause. Honestly, I'm listening, and I'm not putting him on the block because the way he speaks about Vancouver and the way he likes Vancouver, he's that type of player that you kind of want to keep around, even if he doesn't really fit your timeline, because it's the way he speaks about Vancouver, the way he likes Vancouver, it could kind of rub off on a lot of the young players. Maybe they'll want to stick around, and maybe, just maybe, they'll be able to find some players that will want to come to Vancouver and join the upcoming rebuild we'll have, and it could help. Players like Thatcher Demko are valuable. The same thing with Tyler Myers, right? The way they both want to stay in Vancouver. Next up on my list, I'm trying to see who I would go. Jake DeBrusk. I feel like he's a little bit less valuable at the moment. Yet again, no movement clause. A lot of these players have no movement clauses. The Vancouver Canucks kind of dug themselves a hole with all these no movement clauses, handing them out like candy. Jake DeBrusk, I would listen. Maybe you get the best offer. Maybe he says yes to going to the team that gives you the best available offer, and you get a good trade for him. It's the same thing with Connor Garland. It's the same thing with Brock Besser. Connor Garland's no movement clause I don't think kicks in until next year. I could be wrong, but I'm just going to double check. Actually, I have Puckpedia open right here. Nils Hoglander. Connor Garland doesn't have a clause. So you could trade him this season, and I definitely wouldn't put him on the block, but I definitely would listen because maybe you get a great offer and you would take that in a heartbeat. Brock Besser, same thing. He has a no movement clause right now. If he waives it and you get a really good offer, I would do it, but honestly, I'm just listening at the moment. Marcus Pettersson, Filip Hronek, it's the same thing. I feel like there's players that have value, but they have no movement clauses. If you get a great offer, they want to go to that team, you take it. If you don't get great offers, or you get great offers but they don't want to go to that team, you're kind of handcuffed. You can't really do anything. It's the same thing with Elias Pettersson. I feel like this listen category is just kind of like the players the Vancouver Canucks want to move, but they're just unable to because of the clauses that they signed. Then last but not least, I actually would have put him a little bit lower. Filip Chytil I would listen on. I'm not sure if there's anything out there for him, but I would listen. Maybe you get a trade for him. It would kind of clear up your center depth issues where you have David Kampf, you have Teddy Blueger, and you have Aatu and you have Filip Chytil kind of competing for 2 spots. It could help a little bit, but at the same time, with who I have on the block, I would consider trading Filip Chytil if he's coming back, because on the block, the next category, we have David Kampf, who would kind of open up that center spot a little bit more. Now, if you trade David Kampf now, Blueger and Raatu aren't back, it doesn't really make sense. But once Blueger and Chytil come back, you have Raatu and you have Chytil and you have Blueger. It's still kind of, you know what I mean? You either send David Kampf down, or you trade him away for future considerations, or you get something for him. Same with Derek Ford. If he comes back from injury before the trade deadline, I would move him for whatever you could possibly get. A late round pick, anything. He'll be a valuable defenseman to a team who's trying to make the playoffs. Teddy Blueger, I would put him there as well. I don't know why it says left wing there. That was a mistake. I must have put it there accidentally. Teddy Blueger, I would absolutely move him. If he comes back before the trade deadline, you get whatever you could take for Teddy Blueger, because he's going to be a valuable asset. He's a pending UFA. You don't know if he's going to come back. You don't know if he's going to want more money. I don't think so, but you don't know. So I would move him. Next up, Evander Kane. Honestly, try to at least get a 4th round pick for Evander Kane. If anything, just get for what you could possibly get. You have to get rid of Evander Kane. Pending UFA, as much as maybe he might want to stay, if you just got to get assets for your UFAs. You got to set a precedent that you're going to go into a rebuild. You're going to get assets for your UFAs. You're going to do this right. Last but not least, Kiefer Sherwood. There's rumors about the Vancouver Canucks offering him contract negotiations. I don't know what that's possibly for, but honestly, whatever I could take for Sherwood, I would take at this moment. Now, I do agree with the Vancouver Canucks holding out a little bit, seeing if a team's willing to budge to trade a 1st round pick. I don't think you're going to get a 1st and a prospect, but if you just get a 1st round pick, that's totally fine. From signing a player for $1.5 million to getting a 1st round pick for him, it's good. If you get a 2nd round pick plus a prospect because you couldn't get a 1st round pick, I'm not mad at that either. This is positive asset management if you're able to trade Kiefer Sherwood. But yeah, without further ado, that is it for this one. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys agree with this list? Do you guys disagree with some parts of this list? Let me know in the comments. And yeah, if you're a Canucks fan and you like this kind of content, I set a goal to try to hit 500 subscribers by the end of this season. So if you hit that subscribe button, that would mean a lot. Leave a like down below and let me know yet again what you guys thought about this list. But the video on your right is the video from Wednesday. The video on your left is the video from Monday. Subscribe's right down into there, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.